So let's talk about conserving the environment and seeing how we can have sustainable, inclusive business in the country and what is being done about that. So there's a company that has been getting some good mileage in the last couple of weeks and months, and this is a company called Jijang Makers. Jijang. The G, and then there is Jenge. Okay? Not Jijenge. All right? So Jijanga Makers, they make this. What? You didn't get it?
No. The spelling bee thing we got, but carry on.
It just.
Okay.
Yeah, it did.
It's all right. Build yourself.
Jijanga Makers. So this company looks at how to recycle plastic, transforming plastic waste into construction materials. The founder of this company is a young lady, 29-year-old now, materials engineer. Her name is Nzambi Mate. Zambi was celebrated by the United Nations Environment Programme last year in December as one of 7 young champions of the earth. One of only 7 from across the world, young champions of the earth. So she's joining us on the line. And alongside her is Karin Boomsma, who is Director of Sustainable Inclusive Business at KEPSA. And we want to understand what, first of all, Jijanga does, and then looking from the KEPSA angle in sustainable inclusive business, how we need to transform plastic waste into sustainable construction materials and what else we can do to conserve our environment. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to the Situation Room, both of you. And we want to start with you, Nzambi Mate. First of all, congratulations for this award by the UNEP.
Thanks so much appreciated.
So tell us about Jijanga Makers and what it is that you do.
So Jijang Makers is an alternative, affordable, sustainable building product. Our first product line are pavers, which are made from recycled waste plastic. We started officially in 2017, but in terms of operation, we're just 1 year old.
All right. So since 2017 and up till now.
Yes. From 2017 up to now, it's a series of research and development and producing the product to the market.
Zambi, could you tell us again what you said that product was, this first thing that you were making?
So those are called pavers, the ones which are used in sidewalks,
Right.
Driveways, car parks, the stones.
Okay.
Yeah, those
Okay.
what we make.
So then going through that process, so exactly what happens that then you make these pavers? What is the material that goes into making them that would then make them sustainable?
So the first thing is normally the pavers are made from cement or other concrete, Portland concrete. But our pavers, they are made with recycled waste plastic and an aggregate. The aggregate is the sand, ballast, just like the ile koroga ya kawaida. Now, instead of using cement, we use plastic.
Mm-hmm. And where is all this plastic coming from? Where is all the, because obviously now we're talking about sustainable business. Where is all of this coming from? You're collecting it countrywide. You're asking people then who have this waste to bring it to you. Are there collection points? What are you doing? And how does this process then play out?
So we've partnered with different stakeholders. We have what we call the post-industrial and the post-consumer. So the post-industrial is that which we get from factories, and we also get from other recycling companies. And then the post-consumer is that plastic which we cannot get from that is collected from the environment once you finish drinking your soft drinks or whatever is being packaged in plastic. It's collected, taken to the recycling company. Now they recycle it to make pallets, which are used to make other products. In that process, there is waste that they produce. That's what we call post-consumer.
You mentioned, first of all, congratulations indeed, are in order. You mentioned that your products are affordable, among other things, and it's also sustainable. When you say affordable, what are you comparing it costs to?
So I'm comparing the cost to both strength versus the price. So, for example, in terms of the per square meter, the normal concrete, the one which can carry about which the trucks can comfortably go for us, we use, instead of 80 we use a 50 because our bricks are stronger. And if you compare in terms of the price margin, ours is about 10 to 30% cheaper.
All right, Karen, this comes to you. I mean, obviously, sustainable business, you had this conversation a little bit a few months ago, and looking then at what the interest is in making sure that businesses around the country are trying to be a little bit more responsible in terms of waste, especially for plastic. Would you say this falls in line in exactly what you've started to do and how you want to see this process play out?
Yes, definitely. It falls in line. Obviously, there are various things to do with plastics, and it depends on the type of plastic. So there are plastics that we would like to just eliminate because they're very hard to later on deal with, because they're hard to recycle, or they just end up in the environment. But there are also plastics that you would like to actually innovate on so that you can reuse them. Or recycle it, and in this case, upcycling. So that's a great way to circulate the plastics that are already in the country.
If we talk about, the plastic situation in the country, Karin, we know we've had very many conversations about, plastic waste, the government banning the use of plastics. We've seen, government effort and industry's effort. What the situation? How would you describe the situation in terms of plastics and plastic waste, particularly in the country at present?
I think we have managed to actually get a way more detailed conversation around plastics management. I mean, when we first spoke, or even let's look back 2 to 3 years ago, everyone was like, "Oh, we have to do something with plastic, but how now? What? Who's responsible? Where do we start? There's nothing. There's no infrastructure. It's not my responsibility." So we had a conversation which was actually not about type of plastic, what to do with plastic, not to do with plastic. It was just all very new. And I think where we are today is that, yes, we are still looking to build an infrastructure, but we're building it around sensible solutions. So the government also has come up, for instance, with an extended producer responsibility legislation. So when you start making policies and legislations, there are rules also for the private sector to play their game around and to actually help them and guide them on what to do with plastics and how to manage it best, because that's ultimately the case. And managing plastics is different for every type of plastic and the use of the different types of plastics. Some we just should not use. I mean, we still can't manage it. And some are crucial in life, and others are very usable to expend their life for a different purpose, like with the Jijang makers. So that's the situation now. I think we're progressing. We had the single-use plastic ban in restricted areas. Maybe that can be extended. Maybe some items can be eliminated completely. We have the EPR, which is a very good tool to actually guide responsibly this whole plastic journey and what should we do and where should we innovate. And we see a lot of great practice and also appetite for the private sector. The private sector says, listen, we know that we have to change. It's not sustainable. And let's make a plan that we can implement. Let's do something that is good for our business, but also good for the environment, and will be law by very soon. So
this plastic that we speak of, how often can you recycle it?
It depends on the type of plastic. So it depends on the technical or the chemical composition. So in principle, for instance, a PET bottle, if the quality of the PET is high enough and it's pure enough, you can recycle it many times, even back into food grade. Till now, not forever. So even a PET bottle that you can completely recycle back to a PV bottle for the same purpose. It's not, you can't do that forever. And other plastics you can't really recycle more than maybe once. It depends really on the quality of the plastics. And there we need a lot of innovation because you can extend life. And that's also why you have to look at what is the purpose of that specific plastic.
So when you can't recycle the plastic, then what do you do with it?
Yeah, so that's the problem. So if you can't recycle it, you have to know that this is a product that we need to manage in a different way. We can't recycle it, but we need to get rid of it. But the first question is, do we really need it? And why is it not recyclable? So can we innovate and redesign that specific product and making it recyclable? And that's what we're also looking at. And we will look at, because we will get the Kenyan plastic in
Okay, Zambi, let me ask you this question. How durable is this product that you have been talking to us about? As in, how long does it last?
So in terms of, as Karin said, plastic takes a long time to decompose. There's some plastics found in the ocean that have been dated almost up to the 1950s and late 40s, beginning 50s. And so, in terms of the price point of our product, we are doing, and we have put a caveat, or rather a time frame of between 30 to 50 years. However, we are currently in the process with other companies with other material labs to do what we call a life cycle analysis, and we can really clearly give an exact date. In terms of durability, in terms of the strength, the pavers themselves carry about 3 to 5 times the weight compared to the normal concrete. And that is because during the production process, in the normal concrete paver, there's a lot of what you call air pockets. And so these air pockets provide a weak link. It is compared to Jijang pavers, where because we use plastic as a binder, plastic is very polymerous, or rather string-like in nature. And so during the production process, we are able to cool it at very high pressure and temperature points. So therefore, we reduce the air pockets, and therefore we reduce the weak points, and hence stronger.
Okay, you've talked about pavement material. Now, give us the full range of uses that you can put this wonderful product that you have to.
So currently, the pavers themselves are predominantly made for the parking, or rather the paving, that is either in residential homes or in commercial parkings or even on roads. However, we are still trying to also redefine different uses. For example, we are looking to use the product, or rather see the possibility of the use of product as a cladding. Those are the bricks that you see on the walls that make walls really beautiful. And also we're trying to engage with different contractors and also civil engineers to use to make those platforms that they use when they're making in terms of a slab. So we're still trying to redefine the possibilities in terms of.
Do you see the possibilities of them being used as building material, as in building houses?
Yes, that has been done already. It can be done. It's been done mostly in Colombia. Yes, there's a possibility for that. I am still trying to figure out, and me and my team, we're trying to figure out the viabilities, especially when you start making a wall, or rather going vertical, the dynamics change compared to horizontal. And so those are some of the things we're trying to work around. But yes, it can be done.
All right. Karen, I think also to ask in terms of businesses, because if I hear you right, the call is across businesses, institutions, individuals, homes in the country to be able to at least have an interest in looking at this plastic for the purpose of recycling. Apart from the actual hands-on work that needs to be done, how far then would the the attitude shift be necessary in all of this? To say that we're trying to get businesses to be more sustainable, we're trying to protect the environment at the same time, as opposed to the nitty gritty doing. It seems to me that a lot has to shift in the mental behavior of a lot of businesses, households, individuals. Where would this come about? How would this come about?
Sorry, I lost you for a little bit. Your question was around the awareness of how much mind shift change do we
Absolutely.
need.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So I think there's a few things. Yes, you need behavioral change, and therefore we actually need to make sure that everyone understands that what we dispose or what we call waste, is that really waste? Why do we label it as waste? So we have to start rethinking about waste again as materials. They're just materials in the wrong place, is what we would say. They ended up because we can't use it anymore, but it's still the same material. Plastic is a plastic if it ends up in the environment. So we need a big mind shift about or around that. This is not waste. It might be waste to me because I can't use it anymore. Can someone else uses it, or can I still do something with it, or can I dispose it somewhere where someone else can reuse it or recycle it? And again, that will make us aware that, it's an input. We're taking a resource, we're making something out of it, and then we throw it away. Is that really necessary? And that's the mind shifts we need. The other mind shifts we need is that we need to understand what kind of materials are we using. So maybe labeling on products where you say this is a recycled product, or it has recycled material inside, or we don't throw it away because we can still recycle it, or you can reuse it. So people should also become aware of what you can still do with it then. So we have to make the material and the quality of the material very clear to consumers. And the other thing is that obviously you need to be able to dispose it responsibly, and that's still lacking. Like, where do you now separate your waste? Where do you now leave your recyclables? How can you really manage that on a household level? And you need to start separating at source, but then you also need to have the infrastructure that you can bring it to a site that's already dealing with separated waste. So that's what we're currently working on, and that's happening on a few places in the country. For instance, in Nairobi Metropolitan, there we start with having sites, dump sites, which are not dump sites, but they're sorting sites, and the waste is separated. And that will allow us to recycle much more if that's what you want to do with that product.
Who's developing these sorting sites, for example, in the Nairobi Metropolitan? Is it the government, the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, or the manufacturers, the producers?
No, the manufacturers are not designing those sites. That's a government initiative, and they will be helped and supported by different stakeholders and NGOs and civil society, and also with input from the manufacturers, but not as that's not their responsibility to have that. The responsibility of the manufacturer is to make sure that the plastics they bring into society, they are able to collect it back and to take it back. So they have a high stake in developing sorting sites and having the proper collectors in place, but it's not them setting it up.
As a sustainable, inclusive business, you've been involved extensively with the coming up with these regulations, the extended producer responsibility regulations, also coming up to promote the circular economy, as you've been saying. When I see organizations such as Jijang Makers and Nzambi Mate coming up, I see an opportunity where then the producers should be able to support such organizations in coming up and also supporting them in marketing their activities. So, for example, if you look at this small organization started by Nzambi Mate, and this is what they are doing, they're making the Jijanga pavers, they need a market and they need the source of the raw material. I can see where the extended producer responsibility comes in and gives them a good source of material, but where do they sell the pavers? How do you support such organizations?
Yeah, we provide linkages and we share knowledge and we bring people together. So that's what we mainly do. And what we also then do is why would you link up people together? What is that the value in that potential relationship? And I agree with you. It's a very good idea to link people and to make sure that you all work together in this. We see that happens a lot already with big companies like we have the Decathlon that is really carefully selecting their carton and selecting their plastics and making sure it ends up with recyclers in the country. So they make those resources available. And that's coming up more and more. The private sector is very active in finding their partners, but it also has to be sufficient for the amount of plastics or the amount of waste they have and specific waste stream. And I think, yes, it needs to be encouraged. Having said that, there's one thing I want to highlight, because those initiatives and those businesses and business developments, those we need. They fall into the category of innovation and circulation in a circular economy. However, there are some things that we should not sometimes keep the demand up for a product that we then only recycle back in something else. It might not solve the issue. So if we keep on using single-use plastics, just to use something for 1 second, then thereafter it might end up in a construction material, which is great because there's nothing else at the moment we can do with those kind of cheap packaging materials. But we don't stop the demand for us to have cheap packaging material to use for a very short period of time. So the question should be, is this the most clever use of resources, even if you upcycle it later?
There's something that I would like to know. Even as you progress in developing this clearly useful product, how fast do you think you'll be able to move in getting the construction industry and those who might use it to accept it? And if you were to look into the future, of course, this is crystal balling, of course, but what percentage of the industry that uses such products do you hope to occupy?
You're asking me the products.
Yes, I'm asking, since you are in that business of producing a product that goes into the construction industry, already there are products that already are in use and you're providing an alternative. And I'm asking, that alternative, what percentage of the already existing market do you hope in the future to occupy? What are you aiming towards?
Okay, but you're asking Jijang makers, I think, and not me. It's not my product. So is she still around to answer that question?
She isn't there, but there's a reason why I'm asking you this. You see, if given the role that you have and given that you support this sort of industry, then it means you must have a place where you think this particular product will fit into. That's really what I'm asking. Where will it fit into?
Yeah, I think okay. Yes, I understand. So what is great about reusing and cycling products in this way is that it should contribute that we have still materials. They are ready, they were in use, and you can still use them. So we're actually saving resources, and we could turn it into affordable housing. So affordable construction is high on the wish list of Kenya in terms of the Big Five agenda. So, or is it 4? So it does fit into, for instance, affordable housing. It does fit in that if we keep on reusing materials, it should become more available, more accessible, and more affordable to actually have infrastructure and housing that is there for everyone. And other companies are doing the same. There's a lot of plastics that are very hard to reuse again or reuse for the same purposes, and they will be converted into building sheets. And that could be a solution for a lot of informal settlements, etc., to actually improve the quality of life.
Well, thank you very much. Karine Boonsma is the Director of Sustainable Inclusive Business with the Kenya Private Sector Alliance. And thank you very much for the good job that you're doing in trying to, bring the industry together to think sustainable and to think circular economy. Asante sana for joining us this morning. And also thank you very much to Nzambi Mate. She's the founder of Jijang Makers Limited, who are making this plastic waste and transforming them into Jijang pavers. Asante sana, ladies, and we wish you a good day.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.